Well, Brinsley had um, I had met Brinsley when he was with Aswad back in the day when I was doing radio and I was traveling to London to buy records and I don't remember exactly how I got back in touch with him, but I got him to drop one song with Uroy on that second album called "Coming Home." I'm coming home with Brinsley Forde.
Right.
Um, I got through to him, and he came to Paris and he voiced his song, and we had a friendly conversation and so forth. And in 2007 or 8, I called him and said, "Look, you haven't done nothing, and it's a shame because you have the voice, you have the lyrics, you have this. Come at Jamaica with me, and we're gonna do an album with Sly and Robbie." He said, "Yeah, all right, no problem." He was enthused by that. I said, "Well, before you come, you need to have 12 songs ready. Otherwise, it's not. We're not spending time in the studio writing songs and jamming, and that I had done with other artists, and I didn't like it because I'm more of the Bunny Lee school, which is an hour of studio costs $50.
Hmm.
Uh, and if you're gonna jam 10 hours to find one groove, screw that, man. It's costing me $500, whereas, you know, so uh, I, and I like for that I like the way the Jamaican artists work. Come in, voice, go out, and get paid.
Yeah.
So with Brinsley, he, he he said, "Yeah, all right." So we went to Jamaica. He had songs that were partially ready and with great potential, though. And Sly and Robbie were super motivated because Aswad back in the day was one of the few groups that I wouldn't say they fear them, but they really when they go on stage in festivals with Black Uhuru, after Aswad comes or before Aswad comes, you better put on a good show, because they love each other, but there is emulation. Um, so and they recorded 20 something rhythms that were tough, really really tough and good, and some of them were sweet, some of them were lovers rock, some of them were non-reggae, because Brinsley has a pop appeal. um, and what vocals Brinsley did in Jamaica was not complete, but it was very good. But you couldn't just do anything with it because most of it was not finished, and he would do daba daba da instead of lyrics, demoing his lyrics just to get the groove going and the rhythm being built and so forth. And it took forever to get him to do final vocals, and I wasn't satisfied with the quality, and he wanted to put some auto tune in the vocals. I said, "What the fuck, Brinsley? Come on, man, don't do this to me," you know. And he sent me vocal tracks that had auto tune all over, and I'm, with a singer of that quality, auto tune sounds like a sin, a cardinal sin. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I told him, no, I'm not taking that. Fuck that. And I told him to come to Paris to voice, and I would voice him because I know, techniques and so forth. And he came to Paris and voiced, and it was much better. But then I got caught up with doing other projects, you know, and so the album got mixed by Groucho, and he did the dub. I didn't like the vocal album that Groucho mixed. I thought it was too poppy and not hard enough. Like Bobby would have mixed it, or Steven Stanley. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
More hardcore and Jamaican. Because I wanted a Jamaican sounding album, not an English album.
yeah.
You
Stephen
know?
Stanley would have definitely done it right.
Yeah, and he did. So I love the dub. I mean, Groucho is probably the best dub engineer in the world ever. You got King Tubby, you got Groucho for me in my personal pantheon. Um, so I said to Robbie, look, Robbie, go on and mix the album for me, please. And Robbie couldn't because there were other commitments that. So I was left with something I was not satisfied with, and and then I asked Steven to go over the rhythms, and he mixed it, and it sounds pretty good, but not 100% to what I wanted. I really wanted. I heard it in my head, and it's like so hard sometimes to shake off what you have in your head and admit that somebody else's work can sound as good or if not better than yours, or your idea.
Yeah,
So the idea is to one of these days go back to Jamaica and sit with Steven and make corrections, and then you had COVID, and then all sorts of things. Plus, I've moved on to other projects, and it was politically tricky because I rejected Brinsley's vocals, I rejected Groucho's mixes. I sounded like the asshole in the room, and I was, to a certain degree. You know what I mean? So um, I, I have to get back to that project, and you know what? And I'm making a confession here, and maybe I shouldn't because it's not business-like. But after 10 years, I think Groucho's mixes are acceptable now. Steven's mixes are good enough, and maybe I should just let it, drop it and move on to something else. I had another guy mix the songs. His name is American. His name is D'Artagnan Winston. He also goes by the name of Green Lion, and we've done several dub albums together. And he is a good dub mixer, very good. His main inspiration is Groucho. Um, so I gave him a chance and told him mix that, and he has done a very good job. So I have actually three different mixes plus the dubs for this album, um, and we were talking. Brinsley and I were talking the other day, and this could be something to go the NFT way. You know, the red, green, and gold edition. The red would be just one of the three mixes. Green would be two, and gold would be the three mixes plus bonus tracks plus demo mixes plus like they do in deluxe editions.
yeah.
For Pink Floyd, or with studio outtakes and all of that. So I have that. I mean, I have five or six other albums that I have not released that I've done with Sly and Robbie. I have a funk album that John Morales is from the disco period, a great engineer, American, has mixed. I have a lot of other singles that I did with Frankie Paul, with Carlton Livingston, with
Ah,
and so forth. I have a ton of shit, you know, that hasn't been released, and you know, I think sometimes I should stop nitpicking and just put out the thing and see how it goes. Also, That's
Yeah.
what Sly's telling me. Just put it out. You know, put it out and see what people say. And coming from him, with his experience and track record, I think I should listen to him more than you know the the voices in my head.